and it's Chapter 6. Our route to Whitechapel had taken us via the centre of the city. We were in Trafalgar Square. As I got out of the taxi, I saw that a crowd had gathered below Nelson's column, lit by the sputtering white light of many ghost lamps. They were ordinary citizens, a rare sight after dark. Some carried placards, others were taking it in turns to make speeches from a makeshift platform. I couldn't hear what was being said. A ring of police and DPRAC officers surrounded them at some distance. Further off still, at some distance further off still, and spilled out into the road, and there stood a large mass of psychic investigation agents, presumably there to protect the assembly. They wore the brightly coloured jackets that most agencies use, silver Fitz ones, the burgundy splendours of the Rotwell Agency, the canary yellow of Tamsworth, Grimble's green pea supers. All these and many more were present and correct. A DPRAC T-van had parked on one side and was doling out hot drinks, and many other vans and taxis waited close by. Lockwood made a beeline straight for the square. I hurried after him. I don't know what the collective noun is for a group of psychic investigation agents, but it ought to be a posture or a preen. Knots of operatives stood in colour-coded groups, eyeing up their hated rivals, talking loudly and uttering barks of raucous laughter. The smallest agents, kids 7 or 8, stood drinking tea and making faces at each other. Older ones swaggered to and fro, exchanging insulting gestures under the noses of their supervisors, who affected not to notice. Chests swelled, swords glinted in the lamplight. The air crackled with condensation and hostility. Lockwood and I passed through the throng, where a familiar figure stood, gloomily regarding the scene. As usual, Inspector Montague Barnes wore a rumpled trench coat, an indifferent suit, and a bowler hat of dark brown suede. Usually he was holding a polystyrene cup of steaming orange soup. He had a weathered, lived-in face and a greying moustache, the approximate size and length of a dead hamster. Barnes worked for DPRAC, the Department of Psychic Research and Control. The government bureau, sorry, the dead hamster thing threw me, monitored the activities of agents and, on occasions such as this, commanded them for the common good. He wouldn't have won any prizes for grace or gentility, but he was shrewd and efficient and noticeably corrupt. Not noticeably corrupt. That didn't mean he enjoyed our company. Beside him stood a smallish man, resplendently decked out in the plush livery of the Fitz Agency. His boots shone, his tight trousers gleamed, his expensive rapier hung from a jewelled belt strap at his side. His silver jacket was soft as tiger's pelt, and perfectly matched by exquisite kidskin gloves. All very swish, impressive even. Unfortunately, the body within the uniform belonged to Quill Kipps, so the overall effect was like watching a plague rat lick out of a bowl of caviar. Yes, the classy element was there, but that wasn't what you focused on. Kipps was red-haired, scrawny, and pathetically self-satisfied. For a variety of reasons, possibly connected to the fact that we often said this to his face, he had long disliked us here at Lockwood Co. As a team leader for Fitz London's division and one of the youngest adult supervisors in the agency, he had regularly worked with Barnes at DPRAC. In fact, he was reading to him from a ring binder as we approached. 48 Type 1 sightings last night in the Chelsea containment zone, he said, and if you take reports as gospel, a possible 17 Type 2s. That's a staggering concentration. And how many deaths so far? Barnes asked. 8, including the 3 tramps. As before, the sensitives report dangerous emanations, but the origin is not yet clear. Okay, once this demonstration is over, we'll head down to Chelsea. I want the agents split into 4 sectors, with the sensitives organised into supporting groups that. Oh, God! Barnes had noticed our arrival. Hold on a minute, Kipps. Evening, Inspector. Lockwood wore his wildest smile. Kipps. They aren't on the list, are they? Kipps said. Want me to turf them off? Barnes shook his head. He took a sip of his soup. Lockwood, Miss Carlyle, to what do I owe the pleasure? Since he spoke with all the joy of a man giving a speech at his mother's funeral, pleasure was evidently a relative thing for Barnes. It wasn't that he hated us. We'd helped him out, too often for that, but sometimes mild irritation went a long way. Just passing by, Lockwood said. Thought we'd say hello. Looks like you've got quite the gathering here. Most of the agencies in London are represented. His smile broadened. Just wondering if you'd forgotten our invitations. Barnes regarded us. The steam from his cup curled around his moustache fronds like mist in a Chinese bamboo forest. He took another sip. No. Good soup, is it? Lockwood asked after a pause. What sort? Tomato. Barnes gazed into his cup. Why? What's wrong with it? Not quality enough for you? No, it looks very nice, particularly the bit on the end of your moustache. May I ask why Deepak hasn't included Lockwood Co. in the whole Chelsea operation? If the outbreak's so dreadful, surely you could do with our assistance? I don't think so. Barnes glared across the crowd gathered at the column. It may be a national crisis, but we're not that desperate. Look around you. We've got plenty of talent here. Quality agents. I looked. Some of the operatives standing close were familiar to me, kids with reputations. Others less so. At the base of the steps, a group of pale girls in mustard jackets had been marshalled uh, by an immensely fat man. By his dangling jowls, rolling belly, and self-important, clenched buttocks, I recognized Mr. Adam Bunchurch, proprietor of the undistinguished agency. Lockwood frowned. I see the quality, or I see the quantity. Quality, not so much. He leaned in, spoke softly. Bunchurch? I mean, come on. Barnes stirred his soup with a plastic spoon. I don't deny your talents, Mr. Lockwood. If nothing else, those pearly teeth of yours could light the way in the darkest alleys. But how many of you are in your company? Still 3? Exactly. And one of those is George Cubbins. Skilled as you and Miss Carlyle undoubtedly are, 3 more agents simply wouldn't make a difference. He tapped his spoon at the edge of the cup and handed it to Kipps. This Chelsea case is huge, he said. It covers a massive area. Shades, spectres, wraiths, and lurkers. More and more of them appearing, and no sign of a central cause. Hundreds of buildings are under surveillance, whole streets being evacuated. The public aren't happy about it. That's why they're holding this protest here tonight. We need numbers for this, and people who'll do what they're told. Sorry, but that's 2 excellent reasons to leave you out. He took a decisive sip of his soup and cursed. Ah, hot. Better blow on it for him, Kipps. Lockwood's expression had darkened as Barnes spoke. He turned away. Well, have a good evening, Inspector. Give us a call when things get difficult. We set off, back toward the taxi. Lockwood, wait. It was Kipps, stalking after us, the ring binder under his arm. Can I help you? Lockwood spoke coolly, with his hands shoved deep in his pockets. I'm not coming to crow, Kipps said, although heavens knows I could. I'm coming with advice, for Lucy mainly, since I know you're unlikely to listen to sense. I don't need advice from you, I said. Kipps grinned. Oh, but you do. Listen, you're missing out. There's weird things going on in Chelsea. More visitors than I've ever seen. More different kinds. All close together, and dangerous too. It's like they've been stirred up by something. 3 nights running, my teams covered the same lane behind King's Road. First 2 nights, nothing. Third night, a raw bones came out of the dark. Nearly got Kate Godwin and Ned Shaw on raw bones from nowhere. Barnes doesn't have a clue why. No one does. Lockwood shrugged. I've offered to help. My offer's been rejected. Kipps ran fingers through his close cropped hair. Of course it has, because you're nobodies. What are you doing tonight? Some small, pathetic case, I'm sure. It's a ghost bringing terror to ordinary people, Lockwood said. Is that pathetic? I don't think so. Kipps nodded. Okay, sure, but if you want to work on the important stuff, you need to be part of a real agency. Either of you could find a proper job at Fitz. In fact, Lucy's got an open invitation to join my team. I've told her that before. I stared him down. Yes, and you've heard my answer. Well, that's your choice, Kipps said. But I say scrub up, swallow your pride, and get stuck in. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. With a nod at me, he walked away. Bloody cheek, Lockwood said. He's talking nonsense, as usual. Even so, he said little in the taxi, and it left me to give renewed directions to 6 Nelson Street, Whitechapel, and our appointment with the veiled ghost. It was a terraced house in the narrow lane. Our client, Miss Peters, had been watching out for us. The door swung open before I could knock. She was a young, nervous-looking woman, made prematurely grey by anxiety and care. She wore a thick shawl over her head and shoulders and clutched a large wooden crucifix in gloved hands. Is it there? She whispered. Is it up there? How can we tell? I said. We haven't gone in yet. From the street, she hissed. They say you can see it from there. Neither Lockwood nor I had thought to look through the window from the outside. We stepped backwards off the pavement and into the deserted road, craning our necks up to look at the 2 windows on the first floor. The one above the door was lit. Tiles indicated that it was a bathroom. The other window had no light in it, nor, unlike the other windows, did this glass reflect the glare from the street light 2 doors down. It was a dull, black space, and in it, very difficult to see, was the outline of a woman. It was as if she was standing straight up against the window with her back to the street. You could see a dark dress and strands of long black hair. Lockwood and I returned to the door. I cleared my throat. Yes, it's up there. Nothing to worry about, Lockwood said as we shuffled past Mrs. Peters and into the narrow hall. He flashed her his 50% smile, the reassuring one. We'll go up and see. Our client gave a whimper. You understand why I can't sleep, Mr. Lockwood, she said. You understand now, don't you? Her eyes were frightened moons. She hovered close behind him, keeping the crucifix raised like a mask before her face. Its top almost went up Lockwood's nose when he turned around. Mrs. Peters, he said, gently pushing it down, there's one thing you could do for us. Very important. Yes? Could you pop into the kitchen and put the kettle on? Think you could do that? Certainly. Yes. Yes, I think I can. Great. 2 teas would be marvellous when you get a moment. Don't bring them up. We'll come down for them when we're finished. I bet they'll still be hot. Another smile, a squeeze of the arm. Then he was following me up the narrow staircase, our bags bumping against the wall. There was no landing to speak of, more of an extended top step. 3 doors, one for the bathroom, one for the black room, and the other for the bedroom at the front of the house. About 50 iron nails had been hammered into the door. They were hung with chains and hanks of lavender. The wood itself was scarcely visible. I wonder which one it is, I murmured. She's certainly not taking any chances, Lockwood agreed. Oh, lovely, and she's a hymn singer too. Might have guessed. Downstairs, we'd heard the door close, and footsteps in the kitchen, followed by a sudden snatch of shakily warbled songs. Not that that does any good, I said. I was checking my belt, loosening my rapier. Or the crucifix. It's pointless if it's not iron or silver. Lockwood had a thin chain and took it out of his pack and was looping it readily across one arm. He stood so close that he brushed against me. Gives comfort, though, doesn't it? Half of the things my parents brought back are the same. You know, the bone and peacock feather tambourine in the library, Belize spirit ward, not an ounce of iron or silver on it. Right, are we ready? I smiled at him. There was a horror behind the door that I would see in a few seconds, yet my heart sang in my breast to be standing beside Lockwood in that house. All was as it should be in the world. Sure, I said. I'm looking forward to that nice hot tea. I closed my eyes, counted to 6 to get my eyes ready for the transformation from light to dark, and then I opened the door and stepped through. Beyond the barrier of nails, the air was cold, skin bitingly so. It was as if someone had left a freezer door wide open. As Lockwood closed the door behind us, darkness swallowed us like we'd been immersed in ink. It wasn't just that the ceiling light was off, it was a profounder blackness. No light came from the street outside, but there had been no curtain on the window. It had been a bare piece of glass. Something was blocking it, preventing light from coming through. Away in that cold, cold, inky dark, a person was weeping. A horrible sound, desolate, yet wheedling, as of one spiritually bereft. The noise echoed oddly, as if we were in a vast, empty space. Lockwood, I whispered, are you still there? I felt a friendly prod. Right beside you. Chilly. Should have put my gloves on. I hear crying. She's at the window, in the pane. Do you see her? No. You don't see her clawing hands? No. Well, don't describe them to me. It's a good thing I don't have any imagination, or I'd be having nightmares tonight. She's wearing a lacy grey gown and a sort of ragged veil over her face, some kind of letter in one hand, spotted with something dark. I don't know what that's about. Might be blood or tears. She's clutching it to her chest with her long, shriveled fingers. Listen, I'm laying out the chains. Best thing we can do is smash the window, smash it and burn it in the furnaces. His voice was calm. I heard the hasty clink of iron. Lockwood, wait. Standing blind, with air blasting my face, I composed myself. I opened my ears and mind to deeper things. The crying sound receded just a little. In amongst it, I heard a whisper, a tiny out-breath. Safe. What is? I asked. What's safe? Lucy, Lockwood said. You're not seeing what I'm seeing? You shouldn't be talking to this thing. It's bad. More clinking at my elbow. I could sense him moving forward. The whispers cut out, resumed, cut out again. Put the chains away, I snapped. I can't hear. Safe, safe. Lucy, quiet. I kept it safe. Where did you do that? I said. Where? There. As I turned to look, my sight cleared. I caught the outline of the window in the corner of my eye, and within the darkness, superimposed on the darkness, a long-haired shape, hunch-shouldered, bent arms, raised above the head, as if caught in the midst of some frenzied dance or rite. The fingers were grotesquely long. They seemed to spear toward me and across the room. I cried out. At my side, I could feel Lockwood jumping forward, swinging his sword out and upwards. The fingers broke, became separate beams of black light, scattered as if by a prism. Screaming filled my ears. Then the noise splintered and shattered like glass, and fell away into silence. My eardrums flexed. Pressure left the room. Light filled it. It was only the pale pink streetlight from outside on Nelson Road, but it cast everything into 3 soft, grainy dimensions. How small it was, not a vast echoing chamber at all. just an ordinary room with a kid's bunk bed and chairs, and a dark wardrobe at my back. Warm air sucked in from the landing, caressing my ankles as it came under the door. Lockwood stood in front of me, rapier out, iron chain trailing through the broken window. Light shone in the houses opposite, broken glass jutted from the frame like teeth. He spun round, staring, breathing hard. His dishevelled hair hung dark and loose over one eye. "Are you all right?" "Of course. I was looking at the wardrobe. Why wouldn't I be?" "She was attacking you, Lucy. You didn't see her face when she threw her veil back?" "No, no," I said. "It was okay. She was showing me where." "Where what?" "I don't know. I can't think. Shut up." I waved him to one side, walked over to the wardrobe. It was a big one, old too. The wood was so dark it was almost black. It had decorative tracing on it, scuffed with ancient use. The door was stiff when I pulled it open. Inside hung children's clothes overlaid with white moth strips. I stared at them, scowling, then flicked them aside. The base of the interior was a single piece of wood. Its level seemed a full foot higher than the bottom of the wardrobe when viewed from the outside. I took my penknife from my belt. Lockwood was hovering uncertainly at my shoulder. "Loose?" "It was showing me where she hid something," I muttered, "and I think, yes!" Jamming my knife into the crack at the back did the trick. When I twisted, the panel came up. It took quite a bit of fiddling with angles and chucking half the clothes out onto the floor, but I got a piece clear. I put away my knife and got out my pen torch. "There you are," I said. "See?" Inside the cavity, bundled up, a dusty, folded piece of paper, fixed with a wax seal. Dark spots stained it, tears or blood. "She was showing me," I said. "You don't need to worry." Lockwood nodded, his face still doubtful. He was studying me closely. "Maybe." All at once he broke into a smile. "And better still, that tea'll still be warm. I wonder if she's got biscuits too." Happiness filled me. My instinct had been right. Those few seconds had been all I'd needed to connect with the ghost and understand its purpose. Yes, Lockwood saw appearances, but I could see beyond that. I could uncover hidden things. He held the door open for me. I grinned at him, squeezed his arm. When we went out onto the staircase, we could hear the frail voice of Miss Peters still singing in the kitchen. And that's the end of chapter 6. Thank you for listening.